Hey guys, how are you today, and welcome to my review of the 2017 Italian Grand Prix. Yes, I know I haven't made a video for a few weeks. That's because I've been working and I've been on holiday, but I'm back now and let's get on with this video. So yes, the Italian Grand Prix is the last European race on the F1 2017 calendar. It's been an exciting European season all the way since the Spanish Grand Prix and the Russian Grand Prix, through Monaco, Silverstone, Hungary, Spa, etc. Been an exciting few months, and now let's get on with this review. So, the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, of course, Ferrari's home race, and we know Ferrari are very much in title contention this year. But this year, the race was won and dominated by Lewis Hamilton. He was followed home by Valtteri Bottas to make a Mercedes 1-2. In third place was home favourite Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. We then had Daniil Ricciardo in the Red Bull, Kimi Raikkonen 5th, Ocon 6th, Lance Stroll 7th, Felipe Massa 8th, Sergio Perez 9th, Verstappen in 10th, Magnussen 11th, Daniil Kvyat in 12th, Hulkenberg 13th, Carlos Sainz 14th, Grosjean 15th, Pascal Wehrlein was the last of the finishers in 16th, and then Alonso, Ericsson, Van Dorn and Jolyon Palmer, as you would expect, pretty much all retired early from this race. So let's review each driver and their weekend. So Lewis Hamilton had one of the greatest weekends of his career probably. He has broken Michael Schumacher's pole position record of 68 pole positions. He's now on 69. I'm sure Hamilton will increase that over this season, maybe over future seasons if he stays in the sport. He got pole by over a second from Red Bull drivers in the wet weather, although Red Bull eventually had engine penalties, but yeah, Hamilton dominated qualifying. Then he had a near enough faultless race. He did one run wide at one corner at one point, but near enough faultless race, and he now leads the F1 World Championship. As for Valtteri Bottas, he had a difficult start to the weekend, a difficult, qualifying by Mercedes standards. It was boosted up by other cars having penalties, so he could start fourth. But he did well in the first few laps against Ocon, Stroll, and particularly Kimi Raikkonen, where he had near enough best part of a lap side by side, and he got past Kimi Raikkonen. They got very close every now and again. But he's fallen now even further behind in the World Championship, and surely he's very soon going to become the second driver at Mercedes rather than being on equal footing with Hamilton, at least for the season. Third place was Sebastian Vettel. It was generally quite a tough weekend for the Ferrari team, although this was sort of expected. We knew they were going to struggle this weekend. It just isn't their type of track. They're better at the more twisty tracks. Well, this is a fast track, so I'm sure Ferrari will be better in Singapore, for example, next time. But yeah, they struggled in the wet qualifying session, with Vettel only starting in 6th place, and it became a damage limitation Grand Prix for them, and he managed to get on the podium in Ferrari's home race, so that's good news for the Tifosi. But ultimately a disappointing race for Ferrari. We all know the Tifosi wanted to see their main team winning this Grand Prix, and ultimately that didn't happen. 4th place was Daniil Ricciardo in the Red Bull. He only started 16th because of a load of engine penalties, etc. I think he had more engine penalties, but then other engine penalties, such as to the McLarens, boosted him up a bit. So he started 16th, started on the soft tyre rather than super soft tyre, and made loads of places. He actually ended up challenging for the podium. He was only a few seconds behind Sebastian Vettel, and he could have done it. And he had great overtaking, such as his overtake on Kimi Raikkonen, which was from so far back at turn 1. And it was truly impressive. He had some good team radio moments, as I'm sure you heard if you watched the Grand Prix. And yeah, he did very well, and I would say he was my driver of the day. Not too sure who won the actual award, but he would be my pick for driver of the day. 5th place, Kimi Raikkonen. He actually managed to out-qualify Sebastian Vettel this weekend, but in the race he struggled. He thought there was damage to the rear of the car. I'm not sure if that turned out to be true or not, but ultimately he has a new contract now, so he's under less pressure than he was a few weeks ago. P6 was Esteban Ocon in Force India. He started this Grand Prix in 3rd place after the wet qualifying and all the engine penalties. And I think ultimately he couldn't do much better than 6th place. He was never going to keep all those much faster cars behind him in this Grand Prix, was he? And he'd be glad that there were no crashes with his teammate Sergio Perez. And I think that ultimately was the aim. And it looks like they were successful. The team was successful in strategically keeping the two drivers apart on the track. P7 was Lance Stroll. He started on the front row, so he was the youngest ever front row starter. Of course, he started in P2. His start at the start of the race was pretty equal to Hamilton, and Hamilton did have to go defensive to block him off. And ultimately, Stroll did manage to beat his teammate Felipe Massa, and he was able to challenge Esteban Ocon for most of the race. But I thought sometimes he could have done with a bit more racecraft, maybe depending more on the inside. Maybe he would have finished slightly higher. You can't tell. I think that is somewhere he may need to improve on in the future. Felipe Massa in the second Williams was in P8. He had an incident with Verstappen towards the start of the race, but that only really ruined Verstappen's race and no penalties were given. And then he had a close battle with Stroll at the end of the race, and I guess he'll be quite happy with P8. P9 was Sergio Perez. Of course, his popularity has taken quite a hit in the last few weeks with all the clashes with his teammate Esteban Ocon. And of course, as I said, Force India were successful in separating their two drivers post the Belgium Grand Prix. And I guess Perez is going to need more points finishes like he got this weekend, and more fairly quiet races to gain popularity, although he did get close to his teammate towards the end of the race. So maybe 10-15 more laps and you would have had another clash between the two Force Indias. But yeah, I think Force India played that well, to be honest. P10, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. Of course, he had a very good start from P13. He got all the way up to P8. But then he broke his front wing and got a puncture while battling Felipe Massa at turn 1. And then towards the end of the race, while fighting for the final point, he managed to annoy Magnussen by forcing him wide, although we know Magnussen's pretty aggressive as well. So Magnussen maybe got what he deserved there. And yes, it's been a difficult season for Max Verstappen. It's not his fault, to be honest. It has mainly been reliability, although this weekend it was more his fault because of the puncture, which was caused by a crash. And he'll be hoping to have a better time in Singapore, which should suit the Red Bull car, I would have thought. P11 was Kevin Magnussen. Of course, as I said, he was unlucky not to get a point, but he was at least the stronger of the two Haas drivers this weekend, and he's doing quite well at the moment, and he'll be hoping to keep it up in Singapore. P12 was Daniil Kvyat on the Toro Rosso. Nothing much happened for Toro Rosso. It's also their home race. Of course, Toro Rosso is Red Bull in Italian, I believe. And Kvyat will be pleased to have beaten Carlos Sainz, but yeah, it's been a pretty quiet weekend for Toro Rosso, and they'll be hoping to get back in the points come Singapore. P13 was Nico Hulkenberg in the Renault. Again, by his standards, it was a difficult weekend. This season he has been in the points most of the time, and he also hopes to do better in Singapore. Of course, he did have an engine penalty as well or something, but it only led to him dropping by 2 places. While he probably should have been starting right towards the back. And yeah, hopefully we'll see the better parts of Nico Hulkenberg later in the season. P14 was Carlos Sainz in Toro Rosso. Again, like his teammate, he struggled, but he stayed out of trouble. He did have a difficult start to the season, if you remember, and hopefully he'll be able to still be in the sport next season. P15 was Roman Grosjean in the Haas. He had a big crash in qualifying and while going in a straight line he had complained of, and he recovered slightly in the race, but we knew he was never going to get in the points, and he complained a lot. Pretty much as you'd expect with Roman Grosjean. P16 was Pascal Wehrlein in the Sauber. Of course, he started in P12, but as you'd expect, he fell back quite quickly. He did have some battles with his teammate, but we know to show his talent, he needs a better car. As for the people who retired, there was Fernando Alonso, Marcus Ericsson, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Jolyon Palmer. So, Fernando Alonso retired on lap 50. He retired essentially so they can change the gearbox before Singapore without getting a penalty, because McLaren and Honda are confident that Singapore should be a really strong track for them and that they'll be able to run in the points. And yeah, he wasn't happy with his car, as you'd expect, more particularly the engine. And with Jolyon Palmer's driving, he thought Palmer should have had some more penalties. And I think Alonso was quite chuffed when Palmer retired. And yeah, what next for Alonso? Tell me in the comments, where do you think Alonso is going to do next? Do you think he'll stay with the team, even if Honda stays with the team as well? Or will he be retiring from the sport, or taking a sabbatical? Tell me what you think. Marcus Ericsson retired on lap 49, only a few laps left as well. He started on P11, but like his teammate Pascal Wehrlein, he fell back quite a bit. Stoffel Van Dorn retired on lap 33. He had a fairly decent weekend actually, but obviously lots of engine penalties, but in the race he was running quite near the points when he was forced to retire. And yeah, that's quite impressive for Honda considering what track you're at, the tempo of speed, and all the long straights. But yeah, seriously, what next for McLaren Honda? What's going to happen? I've heard lots of rumours about Honda going to power Toro Rosso next season or something. Tell me what you think is going to happen. Finally, Jolyon Palmer, another difficult weekend for him, more mechanical issues, and he also went down the escape road by the chicane at turn 1 while battling towards the start of the race. Something has to give in the Palmer situation. I don't know what's wrong with him, he's just not getting anything this season. So yeah, as for the championship standings, Lewis Hamilton now leads Sebastian Vettel by 3 points, while Bottas 197 points. Ricciardo's in 4th, ahead of Raikkonen, just ahead of Raikkonen. Interesting little battle there. Verstappen in 6th, but a long way behind because of all those issues. Then there's the 2 Force Indies of Perez and Ocon, who's going to be the lead driver at the end of the season. Sainz, and then Hulkenberg, Massa, Stroll doing well to be just behind Massa in the standings, I would say, after a difficult start to the season. Grosjean, Magnussen, and then Alonso on 10 points. Because Wehrlein has 5 points in 16th place from the World Championship standings. Kvyat is in P17 in the standings. Van Dorn in 18th. Palmer in 19th and Ericsson in 20th. And of course in this race Mercedes increased their lead in the Top Constructors Championship, as you would quite expect. Of course all of these standings will be in the comment section down in the description down below even. While of course Red Bull are 3rd still, Force India solidified their P4, Williams are 5th, Toro Rosso 6th, Haas F1 7th, Renault 8th, McLaren 9th, and Sauber 10th. So yeah, that's the end of this video guys. Just tell me in the comments what you think is going to happen next with Fernando Alonso and McLaren Honda. Tell me what you think is going to happen, and I'll see you guys soon for another video. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you really enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this and other types of videos, please subscribe to my channel. If you have anything to say in the comments, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Also, go and check out the video that should be on screen right now, and come and follow me on Twitter, BigGaming342, and Facebook, BigGaming342, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Goodbye.